How on earth do you start yoga when you have chronic pain and fatigue? Hi, I'm Melissa from melissaversusfibromyalgia.com and the founder of Yoga for the Chronic Life virtual yoga studio. Today we're talking about how to start your practice, because I know you've heard the throwaway comments and the memes, and some of them are a little bit upsetting because all those people who kind of tout it as a cure ruin it for the rest of us. But we're going to dive into how to start and how to do it properly. So there's a load of side benefits on the table when you're talking about yoga, and some of those side benefits sound a little bit like overpromise. But my students and myself, obviously I wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't experienced the benefits, but with continued practice, you can actually improve your sleep, reduce pain, reduce fatigue, reduce anxiety. It really can do those things. We're not talking about cures. We're just talking about making each day a little bit better and easier to manage, especially when you're choosing the right yoga. You know that it can help, and if you choose a practice that can suit your current needs, then let's get started with our practice guide. So before you start, you do need to check in with your medical team. So you need to be cleared for movement. Yoga is gentle and mindful, but it is still movement. And ask your doctor or your physical team if there's any types of movements that you should be avoiding, and ask them about the idea of yoga in general. Not many of them will say no. Then remember that you are in charge of your body. So during your practice, assess how it feels and be mindful of what works for you. There are many options, and you will most likely find a practice that suits you. In the Yoga for the Chronic Life virtual yoga studio, each month we have new containers, and one of them is a gentle movement class, which could be for the bed, the chair, or the floor. Then a restorative yoga class, guided meditation class, and a breathing practice or other self-care. So those are yoga. Any one of those, you will be doing yoga. So don't discount what you think yoga is yet. So you don't need a lot of things, but there are some props that might be helpful to you. So one of the only real necessities is a yoga mat, but you can actually practice anywhere, anytime. But a yoga mat to put down and help you, especially to keep from slipping and keep your balance, a good yoga mat is useful. I don't personally think you need to spend lots of money, just something that will keep you sturdy. A yoga bolster, again, not strictly necessary, but it can really help you. Supporting our practice with props can be really helpful. So I have couch cushions that I have used because in my classes I like to show what you're likely to have in your house, but I also do have a bolster that I purchased, and it does make a difference. It is a whole other level. Yoga blocks are another thing, so they bring the ground up to meet us, and they are that first level of prop that can be helpful. So the key principles of yoga for chronic pain and fatigue practice. So these principles are kind of how to start exercising or how to start movement. First, listen to your body. This is absolutely key. In a world where we are trained to push through, ignore our cues, this is the opposite in our yoga practice. If you are feeling particularly fatigued, then perhaps breathing or meditation or a restorative posture is best for you today. I personally think rest offers us the best benefit as people with chronic pain and fatigue. Number 2, pay attention to your body. So this is moving on a little bit from the last point. How does a movement feel? Should you pull back? Is a certain posture right for right now? And then kind of assess the next day as well how it's feeling, and then you'll know whether or not you need to pull back. Number 3 is start slow. So if you think you can do a 15-minute class, try a 10-minute class. Just pull it back. We're not in a race here. It's about the journey, not the destination. Number 4, frame your practice with breathing and rest. So after all of my research and my practice, I would say the ideal practice for people with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic fatigue is gentle breathing, gentle poses, followed by a restorative pose and a good yoga nidra meditation. So that's my framework, and that's how I offer all of my classes. Number 5, it's not linear. So you won't necessarily do 5 minutes today, 7 minutes tomorrow, 30 minutes in 6 months. You may do 10 minutes of physical practice today, meditation tomorrow, 5 minutes of physical practice the next day, 20 minutes of restorative yoga the next. We're on a journey, And it's not just about the length or type of practice. There are so many factors going on, and sometimes we just need a good nap. And number 6, it should not hurt. There is no pushing through, there is no hurting. If you feel at the edge of sensation, pull back. I don't practice yin yoga, which is where we're aiming for sensation, because I think it's too easy to hurt ourselves and overstretch our bodies, and it can be particularly difficult if you've got trigger points, especially active trigger points. So what type of yoga tools are there? So as I've kind of alluded to already, there are a few different types of tools. So we can do yoga when we're feeling more well. We can do it in a flare. Yes. We can do it in bed, in the morning, as a rest, and as exercise. It really can help us in multiple different ways. So let's dispel what yoga means. So we've got slow flow, gentle yoga. That's the kind of movement practice, moving with our breath, that I love. Restorative yoga, which is a very restful pose, and it's designed for complete surrender. Bed yoga, chair yoga, floor or mat yoga, meditation, which includes yoga nidra. You can do self-guided practice and guided practice. I highly recommend guided practice, especially for helping us to calm the central nervous system. Breathing practices, I mean, that's like actual breathing practices, like box breathing or any of those techniques, but it also can just mean 5 deep breaths somewhere in your day when you feel like you need it. And one-off poses that help us. I am known to do my neck stretches, my cat and cow pose, child's pose, in random places and times. So does that give you a sense of all the different types of tools? Let me know below, or come and send a message in the Yoga for the Chronic Life Facebook group about your yoga tools and how you use them, because I love dispelling the myth of what people think yoga is. So we've talked about the basics, and we've talked about how you start practicing yoga and the things to look for, any things that you might need to help you practice. So what do you do to start? I have a couple of options for you. The first is my free 5 minutes a day pose challenge. So for 5 days, I give you a new pose each day of my favorite yoga tools to try. And I'll put a link for that below for you to try out. If you're completely new and want to go over the foundations, then the Foundations of Yoga for Chronic Pain and Fatigue course is likely for you. It will take you from can I do yoga to I'm equipped to have these yoga tools for the rest of my life. It is self-study, so there's no rush, and you can come back to it again and again. This was my first ever offering, and I have had over 200 students come through it, and I've had all sorts of feedback, like this is the only movement program that has never sent me into a flare. That's from Latoya. She's just celebrated 2 years doing yoga with me, which is very exciting. But all of these, plus some other classes and series, are in the Yoga for the Chronic Life virtual yoga studio. And as I said, we focus on the tools and building on the tools every single month in a special guided journey. So you are always welcome to come and join our team there, and do come and join Yoga for the Chronic Life Facebook group so that we can chat through these things. It's very exciting to be able to share these tools. I'm so passionate about them. I hope you can tell. I hope that something here was helpful and that you feel inspired to get started today, and I'll catch you later.